Welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're making a pumpkin pecan cake with maple cream cheese icing. So what you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make this, and yes, we're starting with a box mix. However, we're going to change this box mix and make it so much better than an oily, watery cake that they make, because we're going to substitute ingredients. We're going to add some pudding mix to this and some fall flavors like pumpkin and maple, and we're going to make something really great to eat. But the best thing about it is it's not going to taste like it came out of a box. So this is going to be more like a bakery style cake, and it's going to taste really amazing. So if you look on the back of the box, it says it wants you to put water and vegetable oil in it. We're going to substitute milk and butter in place of these, and it's going to make all the difference in the world when we're mixing this. So go ahead and put your whole cake mix into a bowl and dump in every part of that, and then we're going to add to this the pudding mix that was laying on the counter, which is actually a packet of vanilla pudding just straight out the box, and you don't need anything but that box mix. So just go ahead and dump that in, and then after this we're going to add a tablespoon of cinnamon to this mix. Get that into the bowl, and then afterwards we're going to add a tablespoon of flour to this. And the flour is just going to help bulk this up a little bit as it's baking, and that's actually great because it's just general all-purpose flour. And then we're going to mix this up a little bit before we move on to the next ingredients. So instead of the oil, we're adding 1/3 of a cup of butter, which has been softened and melted. And then after that, instead of water, we're going to add a cup of milk. Now for this cup of milk, I'm using whole milk because it has a little bit more body to it, and it just really works well when you're mixing it into this. So go ahead and add that too. And then after this, we are going to add 1 cup of pumpkin puree. And this is not just like the stuff that you make the pie out of. It just actually says on it pumpkin puree. And just get this into the bowl. I'm going to mix it up a little bit before I come in with a mixer. And as I'm using my mixer, I'm going to add 3 eggs to this. So we want to make sure that we get all 3 of those in as the mixer is going. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Depending on your pan size, like mine's going to be a 9-inch. It's going to take anywhere from 25 to 28 minutes to bake this. But read the back of the box so that way it tells you what size you're using and how long they prefer you bake that version at. So go ahead and mix this up really well. Make sure everything is totally incorporated. You pull in the sides and the bottom. And pretty much this is what is going into the actual cake part of our mix. So go ahead and just get this all mixed up. And in a moment, we're going to need to prepare our pans. But make sure you've got your oven going at 350 degrees before we do this, because regardless of what size pan you use, you still need that temperature to cook at. So once we get all of this set and ready to go, select the pans you're using. I'm using 2 9-inch pans, and I'm spraying them with non-stick cooking spray, because even though these things are new and they say that they don't stick because they're supposed to be non-stick, they actually do stick. So I'm going to spray them really well and do the little thing that my grandma always did. She threw a little bit of flour in the bottom and knocked it around, and you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to do this because the one place it will stick is on the bottom. So just put a little bit of flour in there, knock this around, get it coated, and that way both of these will be ready for us to pour the batter into when we're ready. Now once we get this ready, we're just going to divvy up the batter between the 2 pans, get them completely equaled out, and make sure that we have about the same amount in each one. And just, take a second to get that. And then we're going to bring our nuts in. Now for these pecans, we're just going to basically go over the top of the cake mix and literally drop them out kind of evenly, and then you can push them down a little bit with your finger to get them into it, so that when this bakes up, they're going to kind of go inside of it and give you a little bit of a crunch on the inside of this cake. And it's really great because when these do go in there, it's a little bit of flavor to add into the really great taste of the cake as well. So just go ahead and just put a few of these on top, push them in a little bit, then they're going to go to the oven. So we want to make sure that we get them in there and get ready to work on our icing next, because we want the icing done by the time these are out, but we want these to have a good bake time and cooling time before we do anything to them. So just remember that. So Now that if you've gotten pretty much, I used about a half a cup of nuts on top here, just like going back and forth. Go ahead, put them on, put them into bake, and when they come back out, these nuts will have baked inside, as you can see right here. And this is really great because, you know, it's a good layer of nuts inside of your cake itself before we do anything else to this. So we're going to put these to the side to cool, and we're going to work on the icing that goes on top. So you need 1 container of cream cheese icing, frosting, whatever you want to call it, and you're going to use the entire container. So we're going to dump this into a bowl because we want to be able to mix this up, because we're going to add almost a tablespoon of maple to it. Now, one thing you need to know, almost a tablespoon of maple is good. A couple, no, because the more you add liquid to this, the more runny this is going to get when we mix it up, or the more likely it's going to run off the edge of your cake. So we don't want something that's really light and runny. We just want to put enough in there to get flavor. And if you're just around a tablespoon or less, it's going to put the flavor in, but still let your icing do what it needs to do. So go ahead, once you put it in, and just stir it up so that way we mix the flavor all the way through the cream cheese frosting. And that's going to give an extra edge on the outside of this to give it flavor as well. And then once we get this all mixed up and we have our others cooled for the cake pieces, we're going to literally put this onto the cake in just a second. The best thing about this is everything in here works so well to give you such an amazing taste. So I have my bottom layer here, and I'm going to put some icing in the center, just because of the fact we just want to do a thin coat of it. We don't need this to be fancy. We don't need it to be all over the place, but we do want something on the inside before the next layer goes onto the top of this. So go ahead and just spread it out, get it all over the place, and then we're going to bring our next layer in on top. And once we get it on top of there, then you should have enough icing left over in your bowl to go ahead and do the whole cake, which is great because this actually does go a long way. So bring your next layer in. This is the second one on top, and I'm going ahead and adding this to the top and the sides. And then after this, you're ready to serve, because this has such a great flavor just as is with what we just did. You don't really need to do anything else. If you wanted to put some nuts on the top of it, like chop them up really fine, you could do that. It would be fine. But as is, this is really terrific to eat just the way it is right here. So if you like nuts, add some more. If you don't need to, you can just go with what we got going on here. It's like I said, do the top, do the sides, and it will look something like this. And this is such an amazing cake to have, and it's got fall flavors, and it's really wonderful, and it's just one of those things where it's a pleasure to eat. And I tell you, it did not last long in my house because everybody wanted a piece of this. So enjoy. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.